morning, Trask Middle School and Trask Bears. My name is Bob Grimes, and I live in the mountains of North Carolina. And in fact, I used to be the principal at Trask Middle School a long time ago, and I was also the principal at Laney High School. And then I retired as assistant superintendent in Brunswick County Schools. I'm proud to be a part of your Read Across America, and I'm going to start this morning with page 3, Mr. Collins. Before this story begins, there are a few facts you should know. This is not for a quiz, but if it was, I would tell you to write the following facts neatly in your math notebook. Tetrahedrons are geometric solids with 4 faces. All 4 faces are equilateral triangles. Number 2, small tetrahedrons can be joined together to make larger ones. 3, the largest tetrahedron ever constructed was approximately 7 feet tall, and it was made of 4,096 smaller tetrahedrons. Number 4, it was built by students at a private school in California. They had plenty of time and money. Number 5, I teach at a city school in Cleveland, Ohio, where I have been a middle school math teacher for the past 20 years. Number 6, we don't have much time or money. 7, the idea for the tetrahedron project began with one of my worst classes in 20 years of teaching. And number 8, it happened on a Friday. James Harris III. I don't listen to nothing in Collins' math class. Only thing I listen for is the bell. That bell at the end of class is just about the sweetest sound in the world. The whole class, I sit there waiting on that bell and watching the hands of that clock jump from one little black mark to the next. You ever notice how school clocks do that? How they don't move like other clocks do, that they jump ahead like bugs? I even saw one move backward once. I swear the hands went 5 minutes back right before lunch. I told the teacher that the clock was cheating us out of recess and got a detention just for saying that. Mr. Collins teaches 7th grade math, and I'm telling you straight up, he's one of the worst teachers that you can get at Washington Middle School. My older brother DJ had him for math 2 years ago. He told me Collins would do nothing but talk and write on that board for the whole period. And the hardest part of his class was not falling asleep. And forget his tests, don't even bother to try. Every Friday, me and Terrell and 3 of the other guys who can keep their big mouths shut take bets on which tie Collins will have on when he walks in. He's been wearing the same ones forever. DJ's class did the same thing. Everybody put in a quarter, and whoever guessed right on the day they were betting got all the money. It gonna be pea green, puke orange, red stripe, yellow diamond, or dirt brown today, huh? I've won $3 so far this year, and it's only September. But then one Friday, Collins did something crazy, like cracked. I was sitting there in class that afternoon staring at that jumping clock like usual, and Collins' voice was going on and on about how important geometry was. Yeah, right. His voice was talking to itself while his hand drew on the board. This is a cylinder, class. This is a cube. This is a cold Pepsi can, my mind said. This is a box with a big juicy Big Mac inside. No mustard, extra ketchup. And then Collins suddenly stops his hand in midair, whips around and stares at us. Is anybody listening to me? He waves his arms and yells. You know, it was almost funny. You could see the little veins in his forehead popping out and his neck starting to turn beet red. All week he'd been giving us this same line, how nobody in our class was listening to him. What's there to listen to? That's what I kept wanting to ask. Only 4 people turned in their homework on Tuesday, and almost everybody failed his quiz on Wednesday. And you should have seen him losing it about that. But this time he completely flips out. He throws his piece of yellow chalk onto the stack of papers sitting on his desk, goes over to the side of the room, and stands there staring out the windows with his arms crossed. While he's doing that, the piece of chalk rolls off the paper hits the floor and shatters into 1,000 little pieces. That makes everybody crack up, but Collins, he doesn't even turn around to look. He just keeps standing there at the window, not saying a word. I swear he doesn't move for about a half hour. You should have seen the looks the whole class was giving behind Collins's back while he stood there. Everybody rolling their eyes at each other and pretending to cough and shaking their heads, like nobody knows what to think. When Colin finally turns around, he's got his serious face on. You know what I'm talking about, like we are about to get another big long lecture. Maybe because me and Terrell are in the front row right next to where he's standing, Collins turns in on us first. I slouch down in my chair figuring he'll get a clue and move somewhere else, but he doesn't. James, he says, what would make you care about being here? Where? I ask, trying to give the least answer I can. Right here, math class, room 307, Washington Middle School, Cleveland, Ohio. Collins motions toward the window. What would make you want to be right here in room 307, James? Nothing. I hate math, I say to Collins, and the whole class starts laughing. I'm sorry to hear that, the teacher answers in a strange voice once the class gets quiet again. He moves on to Terrell next. You, Terrell? What about you? Behind me, Terrell's answer is too low to hear. I mean, I hear it because that's the way me and Terrell talk all the time in class. But Collins doesn't. He comes walking closer to him. I didn't hear exactly what you answered, he warns. Maybe some kind of contest, Terrell mumbles. I swear under my breath. You tell him about the ties and you're a dead man, Terrell. DJ and the others would never let me forget it if Collins found out. I could hear my brother already. Figures you'd be the fools who'd go and give it away. Been doing this for years and your class had to be the one that snitched. A contest, Collins repeats Terrell's words like he always does, whatever you answer. What kind of contest? I can hear Terrell shifting around in the seat behind me. Just a contest, he mumbles, or something like that. For about a minute, the teacher stands there staring into space like he's thinking about Terrell's answer or waiting to hear something more. Then he goes back up to the chalkboard, erases the whole thing, and starts drawing these big crazy lines. The chalk goes screek, 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 like fingernails scraping. He draws so hard. He slashes one diagonal chalk line from the top of the board to the bottom, then a straight line top to bottom, then another diagonal one, then a few more at the bottom, and there's something that looks like a big pyramid on the board. Anybody know what this is? He says loudly, rapping his knuckles on the board. Nobody says a word. I think everybody believes Collins has lost his mind. T-E-T-R-A-H-E-D-R-O-N, the teacher writes in big crooked letters across the whole board. Then he whips around and shouts, "Why aren't any of you writing this down?" I yank Terrell's pencil out of his hand and tell him he'd better keep his mouth shut for the rest of the class. On the inside cover of one of my notebooks, I copied the word from the board. Tetrahedron. That's what I put down. While Collins is writing the definition, I draw a guy standing on a tall, pointy mountain with the words, "Help me, help me, I'm tetrahedron," coming out of the guy's mouth. That cracks me up. I turn around to show it to Terrell and a shadow falls across my desk. "I'll take that notebook," Collins says. The little metal spirals make a zipping sound as he pulls it out of my hand and tosses it onto his desk. Man, another detention. I slam my chair back so hard it hits Terrell's desk behind me. "Starting on Monday, here's the contest we're going to have," Collins says to the class. I don't even listen. Who cares about some dumb math contest? "We are going to have a contest to build one of these." Collins smacks the palm of the chalkboard pyramid and chalk dust flies up into the air. "A tetrahedron. Nobody has ever made one larger than 6 levels before. That's the record. So our school is going to build a bigger one." Collins looks around the classroom, like he is expecting us to be excited about this crazy idea. So what do you think? Who wants to give this a try? Not one single person raises their hand. Because what kind of contest is that? Building a pyramid. How's that going to make math class any better? But the teacher keeps going on and on, telling us how some school in California holds the world's record. How their 6th level one had 4,096 pieces. How our school could get into the Guinness Book of Records if we do this. How we could be on the news across the country. Yeah, right. I just keep my eyes on that jumping clock. How about it, Terrell? It was your idea to have a contest, Collins says, walking around to convince people. Dante, how about you? Or Charisse? Rondell? The teacher looks over at me again. James, you have art talent. You could do this. Don't you want to be in the Guinness Book of Records? For something? Don't you want to see your name right there on its own page? He draws a page in the air with his hands. James Harris III. No, wish you would just get away from me, fool. That's what I wish. Charisse, who's always kissing up to the teacher, says, well, maybe. And Rondell Jeffries, who's got brains but is nothing to look at, says she'll think about it. Nobody else agrees to help except for Marcel. He waves his hand in the air and says if they need somebody to sign autographs and take pictures with all the ladies, that he'll be there. Marcel always thinks he's something just because everybody in town knows that his daddy owns Willie Q's Barbecue. I could pound Marcel's face into barbecue with one hand if I wanted to. All right, Collins says, just as the bell rings. Anybody who wants to be part of this project, be here after school on Monday. As I'm sliding out of the door in the middle of the other kids, Collins holds up my notebook and calls out, detention on Monday, or here, James, your choice. Yeah, right. Like I got any choice. Thank you.